In the quiet corners of our world, some objects hold secrets darker than we can imagine. They sit in silence, waiting. Tonight, we're going to talk about one such object, a simple, old, black rotary phone. But this phone is anything but ordinary. Its story begins in the damp, musty basement of a house that has long been forgotten. A place where sunlight fears to tread and shadows cling to the walls like a second skin. Imagine this. A dilapidated house, standing at the end of a desolate street. Its windows like vacant eyes staring into nothingness. Locals whisper tales about it. Stories passed down through generations, each one more chilling than the last. But the true heart of the house's terror lies in its basement. Down there, amidst the cobwebs and decay, a single black rotary phone hangs on the wall. It's a relic from a bygone era, its plastic cracked with age, its cord frayed and lifeless. There are no wires connecting it to the outside world. No power source, no pony line. By all logic, it should be nothing more than a piece of junk. But logic has no place in this story. Because every night, as the clock strikes midnight, something impossible happens. The silence of the house is shattered by a shrill, piercing ring. The black phone, disconnected and dead, comes to life. For years, the brave, the foolish, and the morbidly curious have dared to enter that basement, drawn by the legend. They wait in the suffocating darkness, their hearts pounding in their chests, until that inevitable ring echoes through the cold air. Those who've answered it are never the same again. They speak of what they heard on the other end of the line, their voices trembling, their eyes wide with a terror that never truly leaves them. They don't hear a dial tone or static. They hear voices, whispers from the void, faint and desperate, like the last breath of a dying soul. Sometimes, it's the sound of weeping, a sorrow so profound it seeps into your very bones. Other times, it's frantic begging, pleas for help from a place beyond our understanding. The truly terrifying part, the voices are not random. Through hushed confessions and terrified journal entries, a pattern emerged. The voices belong to those who met their end within the walls of that very house. A young woman from the 1950s, a family from the 70s, a lone drifter from the 90s, all of them, gone but not silent. Their final moments, their lingering fears, their eternal torment, all channeled through this one, impossibly object. They are trapped, not just in the house, but within the spectral wires of the black phone. But the phone holds an even more personal, more sinister secret. A handful of those who answered reported something that defies all explanation. After the whispers of the dead faded, another voice would come through, a voice that was chillingly familiar. It was their own, a perfect echo of their own voice, but filled with a dread and a panic they had never known. The voice would whisper a warning, a cryptic clue about a fate that was hurtling towards them. An accident, an illness, a tragedy they couldn't possibly foresee. And without fail, those who heard their own spectral echoes soon met the very end they were warned about. It wasn't a premonition, it was a sentence. The phone doesn't just let you hear the dead, it tells you when you're going to join them. Think about the sheer psychological horror of that moment. Picking up a phone you know shouldn't work, only to hear your own voice on the other end, telling you how you're going to die. It's a prophecy from which there is no escape. The knowledge itself becomes a prison. Every passing day a countdown to the inevitable. How could you live with that? How could you function, knowing what's waiting for you just around the corner? The phone doesn't just predict death, it authors it, turning your final days into a living nightmare. Eventually, the stories grew too loud to ignore. The local police, tired of trespassing calls and unnerved by the consistency of the tales, decided to launch a formal investigation. They were skeptics, of course, armed with logic and procedure, ready to debunk the local ghost story once and for all. A team of seasoned officers entered the house, their flashlights cutting through the oppressive darkness of the basement. They examined the phone, confirming it was completely disconnected. They documented everything, preparing to write it all off as mass hysteria. And then, it happened. As the clock on one officer's watch ticked past midnight, the phone began to ring. The sound, loud and jarring in the confined space, made even the most hardened veterans jump. For a moment, they just stared. It was real. After a tense silence, The lead detective, a man who had seen it all, reached out a steady hand and lifted the receiver. He pressed it to his ear, his expression a mixture of disbelief and apprehension. The other officers watched, holding their breath. But after a few seconds, the detective slowly lowered the phone, a puzzled look on his face. "There's nothing," he said. "Just silence. Dead air." They were baffled. They had all heard it ring, clear as day. Yet for him, there was nothing. They packed up their equipment, officially logging the event as an unexplained auditory phenomenon, a fancy term for we have no idea what just happened. They thought that was the end of it. They were wrong. In the weeks and months that followed, a strange and terrible string of misfortunes befell the officers who were in that basement. One was in a freak car accident, walking away with minor injuries but a car that was totaled beyond recognition. Another suffered a sudden, debilitating illness that doctors couldn't diagnose. The lead detective himself experienced a series of bizarre events at his own home, objects moving on their own. Strange whispers in the night that drove him to take an early retirement. It was as if the phone, or whatever entity was tied to it, was angry. Angry that its sanctuary had been invaded. Angry that its secrets were being scrutinized by the law. It couldn't speak to them, but it could still touch their lives, leaving its cold, malevolent mark on each and every one of them. The connection was undeniable. The black phone was not just a passive conduit, it was an active participant, a source of profound and dangerous power. The police department knew they couldn't leave it in the house. It was a public menace, a paranormal hazard. But what do you do with a haunted telephone? You can't destroy it. Who knows what that might unleash? So they did the only thing they could think of. They treated it like a piece of high-risk evidence. The black phone was carefully removed from the basement wall, placed in a sealed evidence box, and transported to the police station's secure evidence lockup. Today, that's where it remains, not on a dusty shelf next to old case files, but in its own specially made containment unit. It sits behind a thick pane of reinforced glass, like a caged animal too dangerous to be approached. The room is climate-controlled and monitored 24/7. It's a prison for an object, a quarantine for a curse. Officially, the case is closed. But the story, as you might have guessed, doesn't end there. Night guards who patrol the silent, empty corridors of the police station have their own stories. They talk about a strange feeling they get when they walk past the evidence lockup late at night, a sudden drop in temperature, the hair on their arms standing on end, and some of them, the ones who draw the short straw for the midnight shift, Abi heard Italiano, a faint, muffled sound, almost too quiet to be real. Filtering through the heavy steel door, it's the unmistakable sound of a ringing phone. It's impossible. It's locked away, sealed, and silenced. Yet, the guards swear they hear it, a desperate, lonely ring echoing from the other side of the door. No one dares to open it. No one dares to get close. They just hurry past, trying to convince themselves it's their imagination, that the station is just old and makes strange noises, but take no. Deep down, they know the black phone is still active. Still calling out, still waiting for someone to answer. What does it want? Who is it trying to call now? Is it the spirits of the dead, still trapped and desperate to communicate? Or is it something else? Something older, more intelligent, using the phone as its mouthpiece to lure new victims. The phone is locked away, but its influence, its terrifying legend, continues to grow. It serves as a chilling reminder that some things in this world are not meant to be understood, and some calls are better left unanswered. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed this story and want to explore more mysteries that lurk in the shadows, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what you would do if you heard that phone ring. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.